Chosen one, what if I told you the entire community finally sees the lies you were brave enough to face? They never wanted you to survive it, but now your truth is undeniable. For too long, you carried the weight of deception, haunted by late-night doubts and whispered warnings that you were imagining the manipulation. You watched the false leader's smooth smile mask dark intentions, and you felt isolated when others refused to believe your warnings. You are not alone in this awakening. Hidden across every corner of that community, hearts are stirring, truths are surfacing, and the very people who were silenced are gearing up to speak. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. The walls of illusion are crumbling, and what you learn here will arm you for the reckoning ahead. So stay with me until the very end. Collective awakening and recognition. Have you felt that subtle tremor in the air, as if 1,000 hearts suddenly caught the same quiet alarm? You walked through familiar streets and sensed a collective shiver, a shared question unspoken yet pulsing beneath the surface. In crowded rooms, friends exchange knowing glances. On social feeds, comments shift from idle chatter to urgent whispers of "Did you hear?" You feel a mix of relief and tension, because you are not the only one who has sensed the cracks in the polished facade. This moment matters more than any individual revelation, for it marks the stirring of an entire community, awakening from slumber to see what has always been there. Hidden truths are rising, and in the chapters ahead, you'll witness how this mass realization ignites a movement no darkness can contain. In your own life, you've carried the weight of solitude, convincing yourself that suspicion of false prophets was a private burden. You remember the quiet fights in your mind, where you questioned whether your instincts were misguided or if you were simply too sensitive. You felt the sting of isolation when well-meaning friends brushed aside your concerns and the ache of watching elders cling to comforting lies. Each dismissal felt like a blow to your spirit, deepening the chasm between your inner knowing and the world's blind acceptance. Those moments of confusion and rejection left you hungry for validation, for someone else to confirm what you already sensed. That deception had seeped into the roots of your community, and that faith without discernment spells danger. But this very struggle was never meant to break you. It was part of a divine rehearsal for a greater unveiling. In the lesser-known prophecy of Habakkuk 2 verse 2, the seer is instructed to write the vision plainly so that he may run who reads it. Your frustration, your questions, your sleepless nights, all prepared you to carry the vision of truth back to a gathering that desperately needed to hear it. The whispers you once feared to speak became the clarion call of awakening, guiding you from silent doubt to vocal testimony. This turning point transforms every moment of inner conflict into the fuel for communal revelation, charting a course where your insight becomes the keystone of collective clarity. Now, you begin to notice unmistakable signs of transformation weaving through everyday life. Neighbors once polite now stop you mid-step to share a story that echoes your own suspicions. In online groups, threads once stagnant with pleasantries now churn with investigative fervor, as hidden recordings and testimonies surface like sunken treasure. Public meetings become forums of confrontation where long-suppressed voices find courage to speak. The atmosphere vibrates with renewed purpose, like fields once fallow suddenly sprouting green shoots at the first hint of spring. These changes are not random but the work of divine timing, aligning hearts, moments, and messages to break the chains of illusion with undeniable force. Behind the scenes, unseen hands are meticulously clearing the path for this awakening to flourish. Every dead end you hit in your quest for proof, every door slammed in your face by intimidated gatekeepers, was a divine calibration steering you toward the right allies and resources. Synchronicities, chance encounters that yielded crucial evidence, unplanned prophetic dreams that confirmed your next move, have guided you like beacons in the dark. Recall how the book of Nehemiah describes gates opening at the right moment for the exiles returning home, Nehemiah 12 verse 27. In your story, every obstruction has been a calculated setup for elevation, weaving faith and manifestation into a tapestry of unstoppable momentum. Now that these currents of change swirl around you, a profound decision awaits. Will you fully embrace your role as a catalyst or retreat into familiar comfort? Many resist when their convictions demand action, fearing the unknown more than the decay they've witnessed. You may hesitate, terrified of exposing further lies or of losing relationships built on denial. Yet true alignment demands more than passive awareness. It calls for bold commitment. This is your sacred crossroads, the moment to step into the light of purpose without flinching, to move from spectator to leader in this awakening and to claim your power for the collective good. The time has come to stand firm and act. Release your doubts as you would shed old garments that no longer fit. Anchor yourself daily in practices that sharpen your vision, whether through prayer, meditation, or a simple ritual of sharing truth with a trusted friend. Seek out fellow seekers who reflect your determination and build a network rooted in integrity. Use your voice to amplify the stories that matter, whether by sharing documented evidence or encouraging those still wavering to speak. Trust that every small step you take aligns with the grand tapestry of awakening, each act of courage adding another stitch in the fabric of communal liberation. The collective awakening you have witnessed is not a fleeting tremor but the ground shifting beneath every false foundation. What was once hidden in shadow now stands exposed, and the community, awakened and resolved, moves forward in shared purpose. Comment awake if you feel the stirrings of this truth in your own heart and are ready to run with the vision. The journey continues, and your role in this unfolding story is more vital than ever. Step into your calling and let the uprising of light transform every corner of our world. Targeting and suppression of the chosen ones. They saw your gifts as a threat to their authority, so they trained their lies like arrows aimed to wound your spirit. When you dared to share a vision or speak a truth that didn't fit their script, they called you deluded. When your prophetic dreams spoke of hope and warning, they dismissed them as fanciful illusions. You offered insights meant to guide and protect, only to have them twisted into arrogance. Every attempt to expose manipulation was met with character assassination, whispers of instability, rumors of hidden agendas, and veiled threats meant to silence you forever. In those darkest moments, you felt the isolation of standing alone, knowing the purity of your calling while your accusers built their fortress of deception around you. Yet this very targeting is the hallmark of those chosen by the divine. You recall the story of Elijah in 1 Kings 18 verse 10, where he stood persecuted by Jezebel's agents for calling out false prophets. Still, he remained God's chosen voice. Comment targeted if their attacks ever tried to break your resolve, and stay tuned to see how the evidence was gathered. You remember the emotional toll of hearing your name dragged through hushed corridors, the ache in your chest when friends you trusted fell silent around you. You recall dialing old allies only to have them hang up abruptly, as if your voice itself carried the contagion of truth they couldn't bear. You felt the sting of rejection at gatherings where once you were welcomed, the loneliness that followed when even your closest confidants doubted your sincerity. These were not mere disagreements, they were deliberate attempts to undermine your sense of purpose. Each betrayal left wounds that ran deeper than any physical blow. You found yourself questioning your own clarity, replaying every word and gesture to find the moment you lost their grace. It was as if the very air around you had turned toxic, charged by the fear of those who recognized your light as a threat to their fragile dominion. Yet this deliberate targeting was never random. It was the forge in which your strength and purpose were tempered. In the book of Jeremiah, when the prophet faced unjust persecution, he was told, "Behold, I have put my words in your mouth." Jeremiah 1 verse 9. You, too, were chosen to carry messages that would reshape hearts, and every smear campaign was a trial meant to prove that your word did not come from mortal ambition but from a source far higher. As you endured isolation and slander, each slur became another brick in the foundation of your resolve, building a courage that no social exile could dismantle. This turning point reveals that persecution is not proof of your weakness, but a signpost pointing to the greatness awaiting your emerged leadership. As the divine plan unfolds, you begin to notice signs of transformation rippling through your life and the lives of those around you. Conversations once hushed in fear now open with urgent curiosity, as if your words have become sparks igniting a long-dormant spirit in others. You overhear confidants questioning the leader's sudden inconsistencies, and you find written accounts of your dreams, once dismissed, shared as guiding light. You may notice that, despite their efforts, your social influence grows. Invitations return, not as tokens of acceptance but as tokens of respect for your unbreakable integrity. These shifts are like the first green shoots breaking through winter's frost, proof that nothing can truly suppress what is rooted in divine purpose, as each breakthrough emerges precisely when the dark of doubt felt most enduring. Behind the scenes, powerful interventions align to clear your path and vindicate your mission. Every barrier erected by malice becomes a stepping stone, every closed door a redirection toward allies who recognize your calling. You recall how God sent ravens to feed Elijah in the wilderness, 1 Kings 17 verse 6, providing sustenance in unexpected ways when all earthly resources vanished. In your own life, assistance arrived when hope seemed lost. A financial gift from an unseen benefactor, a timely word from a mentor you thought forgotten, or an opportunity opening as if scripted by a hand unseen. These synchronicities, documents emerging from hidden files, video evidence surfacing at the perfect moment, affirm that your faith in divine justice is not wishful thinking but the engine that moves mountains and topples every illusion meant to keep you bound. At this pivotal juncture, many resist fully stepping into their power, haunted by the fear that embracing the calling will expose them to even greater attacks. You might worry that claiming your authority means forever living in the crosshairs of those who once tried to silence you, or that your rise will demand sacrifices you're not sure you can bear, of relationships, comfort, or reputation. Yet true alignment asks for more than recognition of signs. It demands full-hearted acceptance of the role laid before you. This is the sacred moment where hesitation becomes the barrier between who you were and who you were born to be. To balk here is to deny the divine script written on your heart. To press forward is to embrace the transformation that turns persecution into purpose and opposition into fuel for the journey. Now that you see the hand of providence at work, claim your divine inheritance with boldness and clarity. Release the lingering doubts that whisper of unworthiness and declare, "I stand unshaken by their lies, upheld by the truth engraved on my soul." Cultivate daily practices that anchor you in your calling. Whether it's a moment of prayer at sunrise, a ritual of gratitude for every trial overcome, or a declaration of your mission in front of a mirror each morning. Seek out a circle of kindred spirits who reflect your unwavering trust. Those who stand by your side not because of convenience, but because they honor your authenticity. Let every step you take realign your life with the destiny that persecution sought to conceal, forging a path of purpose that no deceit can derail. You have been targeted, suppressed, and slandered, yet your spirit endures and grows stronger with every challenge. Your journey from the shadow of lies into the light of vindication is not only your own. It becomes a beacon for every other chosen soul who faces the same storm. Comment targeted if their arrows ever sought to wound your spirit and you rose unbroken. The world awaits the revelation your voice carries. Step forward into the fullness of your divine authority and let every act of suppression be transformed into testimony of your unquenchable light. Documentation of the truth. They believed their manipulations would vanish without a trace, but you know how it felt to sense that something was terribly off when every spoken promise seemed rehearsed and every miracle felt staged. You felt the dissonance deep in your bones, the uneasy knot in your stomach whenever their smooth words failed to match their hidden actions. You sat in quiet moments, heart pounding, as you wondered if the doubt was yours alone or if others felt the same tremor of uncertainty. You're not alone in this unsettling experience. Something critical was being hidden, evidence of betrayal, of trust turned to ashes, and uncovering it would demand courage, persistence, and unshakable faith. What unfolded next would reveal not only the depth of deception but also the power of collective memory and truth to shatter every fabricated lie. In the early days of your journey, you grappled with the fear that documenting the truth would backfire, that exposing others' secrets might bring retaliation or deeper isolation. You remember the sleepless nights spent scouring through old messages, the shaking hands that recorded confessions whispered in shadows, the ache in your chest as you pressed save on audio files that contained proof of betrayal. At times, you felt the weight of your own doubt, wondering if you were misinterpreting events, if your search for meaning had led you into a hall of mirrors where truth became impossible to discern. Those moments of confusion felt like quicksand. The more you struggled, the deeper you sank into fear. Yet beneath that doubt lay a steadfast conviction that once the evidence surfaced, a path to collective liberation would open, a path you were determined to light. This struggle to preserve evidence did not occur by accident but was woven into a divine design that prepared you for a higher mission. In Exodus 17 verse 14, the Lord commands Moses, "Write this as a memorial in the book and recite it in the hearing of Joshua," ensuring that every act of deliverance would be remembered. Your efforts mirrored this sacred instruction. You became the scribe of a new liberation, documenting stolen conversations and financial irregularities so that the community could recite its own deliverance. Each document you preserved, each testimony you recorded, served as a memorial to resilience and a blueprint for awakening. This turning point revealed that what felt like a lonely quest was, in truth, a divinely appointed commission to etch injustice into the collective memory, so the fabric of deception would tear under the weight of undeniable proof. As you pressed forward, subtle yet powerful signs of transformation began to emerge. You noticed old friends reaching out with cautious curiosity, asking for the files you once feared to share. Anonymous tips surfaced, leading you to hidden documents that validated your earliest suspicions. In group gatherings, you saw skeptical faces soften as facsimiles of evidence played across screens, jawlines relaxed, and tears of relief shone in eyes that had learned to mistrust every word. It was as if the air itself shifted, layers of illusion peeled away, revealing patterns of behavior that had always been there but hidden just beneath the surface. These ripples of change were not mere coincidence. They were the first tremors of a tectonic shift in collective consciousness, aligning hearts and minds to a truth that refused to stay buried. Behind these visible changes, a host of unseen forces worked tirelessly to clear your path and fortify your resolve. Every time you encountered a locked door or a silent witness, divine synchronicity delivered an unexpected ally or unlocked a crucial detail at the precise moment you needed it. You might recall how, in the life of Daniel, angels opened doors to keep him safe in the lion's den, Daniel 6 verse 22, or how a seemingly chance encounter produced a critical piece of evidence you never imagined you would find. Each hidden intervention wove together to create an unbreakable chain of proof, phone logs, bank statements, recorded prayers, and sworn affidavits, binding the manipulators to their own exposed narratives. These manifestations of faith taught you that struggles were never purposeless tests but deliberate setups for a higher elevation. Now, as the momentum of truth swells, you stand at the threshold of a profound choice: to fully embrace the role of keeper of the flame or to shrink back into anonymity. Many falter here, haunted by the fear that stepping into the light will expose them to fresh attacks or further betrayal. You may hesitate, doubting whether you are equipped to carry the weight of accountability and leadership. Yet this is the sacred moment where true alignment demands more than reflection. It calls for wholehearted action. To retreat now would silence the events you have painstakingly documented and betray the very souls seeking justice. Embracing this crossroads propels you into the fullness of your calling, transforming hesitation into determination and fear into faith. With clarity now shining in the wake of evidence unveiled, it is time to claim your empowerment and move decisively forward. Release the last vestiges of self-doubt and declare your commitment to truth. I stand as witness and guardian of every hidden word. Anchor yourself in rituals that reinforce your purpose, whether it's daily affirmations of integrity, quiet reflection on each document you've preserved, or sharing your journey with those ready to stand by your side. Seek out fellow truth seekers who share your vision, for in collective unity lies the strength to dismantle every falsehood. Each step you take, backed by the evidence you hold, slices through the illusions that once kept the community in bondage, forging a path toward genuine liberation that cannot be reversed. You have become the chronicler of an awakening, the architect of a collective memory that refuses to forget the betrayal once hidden in plain sight. Your commitment to documenting the truth has not only exposed deception but also ignited the spark of justice across an entire community. Comment documented if you feel the power of evidence in your hands and the responsibility it carries. The journey of testimony and vindication continues, and your next step will shape the future for every soul longing to live free from the chains of hidden lies. Divine protection and timing. They used every tool in their arsenal to control the narrative, confident that their secrets would remain buried beneath layers of deceit and distraction. You felt their efforts close in on you like tightening nooses, phone lines tapped, messages intercepted, doors slammed in your face, until you wondered if any truth could survive the onslaught. You lay awake at night, heart pounding, wondering if every move you made was under their watchful eye. Yet in those darkest hours, a quiet reassurance whispered through your soul. You are not alone, and there is a force in motion greater than any scheme they could devise. What feels to you like vulnerability is, in fact, the prelude to divine protection and timing, an unseen clockwork aligning every piece of the puzzle to shield you and expose their lies. Your journey to this revelation was marked by moments of crushing doubt and frustration. Remember the day you sent that critical document to the board only to have it vanish into someone's spam folder? The time you stood before a key witness and found their memory wiped clean by threats you could not see? Each betrayal cut deep, fueling a growing sense of helplessness as you searched for answers in a labyrinth of stone walls and locked gates. You felt the emotional weight of every silence. A prayer sent into the void, an email unanswered, a phone call that died with a click. Those obstacles demanded more than perseverance. They demanded faith that the right moment would come when protection would materialize out of thin air. This struggle was never a sign of abandonment, but a necessary chapter in a divine narrative scripting your rise. Everything shifted the moment you stopped seeing these setbacks as mere misfortune and began to see them as part of a celestial choreography. In the book of Zechariah 4 verse 6, the Lord declares, "Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, says the Lord of hosts," reminding you that true breakthroughs come not from human schemes but from supernatural alignment. Your obstacles were never random acts of malice. They were calibrated measures to propel you toward your divinely appointed role. Each vanished email, each locked door, each frightened witness were signals that something far greater was at work, currents of providence gathering momentum beneath the surface. In that moment of revelation, every barrier turned into a spotlight highlighting the path you were meant to walk. As this divine shift takes hold, you begin to notice signs of transformation all around you. A file you thought deleted reappears in your inbox at exactly the moment you need it. A friend you feared lost reaches out with information you prayed they'd remember. In dreams, vivid visions guide you to resources you never knew existed. You catch fragments of overheard conversations, snippets that confirm suspicions you have held for months. Even mundane moments carry an uncanny precision. A green light in traffic when you rush to a critical meeting, a song on the radio delivering exactly the encouragement you need. These are the first tremors of change, the early signals that divine timing is aligning every detail in your favor, orchestrating events beyond human reach to bring truth to light. Behind the scenes, a symphony of spiritual forces works tirelessly to clear your path. Every failed attempt to discredit you becomes a testimony to your integrity. Every blow meant to break you instead reinforces your resilience. In Daniel 6 verse 22, we read how angels shut the mouths of lions so that Daniel emerged unharmed from the den. Likewise, invisible guardians move in realms you cannot see, redirecting harm away from you and toward the very schemes of those who sought to silence you. Synchronicities, phone calls at just the right moment, emails landing when you most need them, unexpected allies stepping forward, are not random miracles but evidence of a divine protocol in action. Your faith in protection is not naive optimism. It is the ignition that activates these heavenly mechanisms. You may feel the hesitancy that so often comes before a great leap, the tension between the comfort of what you know and the promise of divine intervention you've only glimpsed. It's natural to fear that claiming this protection means more attacks, more exposure, and more risk. Many resist when the unknown looms larger than the known, when the familiar chains feel safer than the freedom they promise. Yet, true alignment requires more than recognition of these signs. It demands full-hearted acceptance of your role in this unfolding drama. This is the sacred juncture where you decide to let go of fear and embrace the protective currents that beckon you forward. Hesitation here risks missing the window where divine timing intersects with your courage. Now that you see the momentum building, step forward with clarity and confidence. Release the doubts that have kept you tied to yesterday's uncertainties and declare, I stand under divine protection, and I trust the timing of my path. Anchor yourself daily in practices that reinforce this truth: a morning affirmation of safety, a quiet meditation on divine guardianship, or a simple prayer of gratitude for every synchronistic moment you have witnessed. Surround yourself with voices that echo your faith rather than undermine it, and let each act of trust, small or large, solidify your connection to these unseen forces. In this way, you transform passive waiting into active preparation, aligning your will with the cadence of heavenly orchestration. You stand now at the threshold of a new chapter, where every step you take is illuminated by divine foresight and every barrier dissolves before your eyes. The protection and timing you've longed for are not distant hopes but living realities unfolding with precision. Your trials have not been random misfortunes but purposeful rehearsals for this triumphant emergence. Comment timing if you feel the nudge of divine precision in your life, and prepare to walk the path made luminous by the hand of providence. The future awaits, and with every synchronized miracle, you move closer to the destiny you were born to fulfill. Building a new, authentic spiritual community. Have you ever felt the ache of watching a community you once trusted fracture apart under the weight of fear and control, wondering if genuine fellowship could ever be restored? You may lie awake at night, haunted by memories of gatherings that once brimmed with hope but dissolved into whispered suspicions and divided alliances. Your spirit longs for a place where authenticity is honored and every voice can speak without trembling. You are not alone in this yearning. Deep within, you sense that something extraordinary is unfolding, an invitation to rise from the ruins of betrayal into a sanctuary built on truth itself. What you're about to discover will reveal how the darkest moments of division can become the fertile ground for a new spiritual family, one that shines with transparency and shared purpose. For too long, you carried the burden of attending meetings where warm smiles masked cold agendas, and rituals designed for unity became tools for manipulation. You recall the sting of arriving with an open heart, only to find yourself sidelined when you dared to ask questions. You remember the knot in your stomach when doctrinal lines were drawn in ways that excluded those who felt called differently. Every dismissal felt like a personal wound, each exclusion another note in a silent song of disillusionment. These experiences left you feeling unmoored, questioning whether your search for genuine belonging was just another fantasy. Yet that very disillusionment has been molding you, carving out within you the capacity to lead others toward something more real, more healing, and more enduring. This journey of shattered illusions and quiet questioning has been part of a divine curriculum, preparing you for a moment of communal rebirth. In the lesser-known passage of Zephaniah 3 verse 9, we find a promise that, "At that time I will change the speech of the peoples to a pure speech," signaling a divine reset where old barriers collapse and a new language of unity emerges. Your grappling with fractured fellowship was never punishment but preparation for speaking this pure speech, one that mends broken ties and weaves together hearts into a tapestry of mutual respect. This turning point reveals that every crack in the old fellowship was a window for new light to pour in, guiding you toward building a spiritual home where no shadow remains unillumined. Even now, the first subtle signs of this transformation are sprouting in your life and the lives of those around you. You may notice former adversaries sharing thoughtful questions rather than defensive retorts, or whispering apologies where once there was distrust. You might catch yourself and others singing a hymn or sharing a story not because it belongs to a particular tradition, but because its message resonates universally. Invitations to small group gatherings shift from scripted formats to open forums where real struggles are aired and real support is offered. Every smile that lingers, every tear that falls, and every hand extended in comfort speaks of a collective heart that is learning to beat as one. These are not mere coincidences, they are signposts pointing toward a fellowship reborn in authenticity. You now stand on the threshold of a new era in which betrayal no longer defines you, but the collective triumph of authenticity becomes your legacy. From the ashes of fractured faith arises a fellowship so robust that no divisive force can dismantle it. Comment reborn if you're ready to stand in this genuine spiritual home, ready to offer and receive the pure speech of unity. Your journey from doubt to vindication has not only healed your soul, It has sparked a community-wide revolution that will reshape the future of true faith. Subscribe if you haven't yet, like this video, and comment I am chosen to let this message anchor in your soul. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Remember, they hid the truth in darkness, but your light has set it free.